Hey, what's up guys? Nick the Informative Fisherman here on behalf of Lucky Tackle Box, breaking down little jointed swim baits today with Biwaa 7 in the 4-inch. Let's break her down. Now this 7 here is in the sunfish pattern, and if you're wondering why they call it the 7, it's 7 segments. It's a multi-segmented swim bait, and a lot of guys I think have fished these wrong over the years. They think it's one of those wintertime swim baits, but what I tell guys is if there's a lot of hang-ups around, or there's suspended fish and your crankbait's not working and a spinnerbait's not working, a lot of the time a multi-segmented swim bait can get the job done. You don't need to deflect it off of anything to draw fish. It looks natural, it's coming through the middle of the water column, it looks like what they eat. So a lot of the time it's that perfect complementing bait to where if you're not getting that crankbait bite, you're not getting that blade bite, the top water's not there, little multi-segmented swim baits cause a ton of noise. Listen to that guy. When you're reeling it through there, ripping it fast, doing the special retrieves like I'm talking about, hitting it near the surface, letting it fall, ripping, slow rolling, they get a heck of a lot of attention and they look real. Late summer, early fall like this, these are phenomenal baits for getting fish that are schooling up. You're making long casts and you're covering a lot of water. Now for the equipment, I like to throw Biwaa 7 in the 4-inch on. Is a cranking rod. A moderate action means bending more in the middle, and a long rod, a 7 to a 7'6" rod, is going to allow me long casts, the cushion of that slower tapering rod. Because I'm using smaller treble hooks on here, I want to make a far cast, cover water. If a fish eats it, I want that rod to give to him. I'm going to use lighter line like 12-pound fluorocarbon up to 15-pound fluorocarbon. That lighter line is going to get you a couple extra bites. Using a bait casting reel in a 7-to-1 gear ratio. You can use slower, you can use faster. I prefer that 7-to-1. I like to cover a lot of water. If I see some activity going on, I see some fish busting on bait, I want to hurry up, get it in, and fire that long cast back out there again. Remember, utilize your drag when you're using treble hooks. Trying to horse the fish in on smaller treble hooks is more than likely going to tear bigger holes and give that fish a higher odd of getting off. So take your time, keep them down, plant more fish. Okay, so when it comes to the Biwaa 7, a lot of the retrieves I like to do, if it's late in the fall or I'm paralleling structure, I like to wake it, bring it up right across the surface, just having those ripples hard back and forth. You can see it making a real big V in the water, sending off a lot of waking motion. A lot of the time that's gonna trigger those fish to get up there thinking that bait's trying to scurry away from something, and they're gonna smash it at that point. Another retrieve I like to do is basically slow roll, and about every 10 seconds into the slow roll, I'll sweep real fast, and then I'll kind of just catch up to my slow roll. I'll sweep real fast, and then catch up to my slow roll. What that does is it surges that swim bait forward, then it kind of falls back down and recovers. It basically looks like that bluegill is chasing after something, and then it settled back down. Another retrieve I like to do, which is very uncommon, I never see guys do, I call it the feeding bait fish or the feeding bluegill. I'll hold my rod tip up and reel it. As soon as the bait touches the surface, I'll kill it. So it swims back down, I'll ease it, raise my rod tip up, hit the surface and let it fall back down. It looks like a bluegill going up to feed on a bug. It lets its guard down, and a lot of the time when it's letting its guard down, those bass know that's a perfect opportunity to smash it. Now when it comes to the conditions for fishing the Biwaa 7, you can always fish it. There's always a bluegill out there that looks like this. What you really need to keep in mind is target selection at that point. If it's a bluebird sky, the bass are going to be under boat docks, they're going to be in shade lines, so you need to present this bait to those areas. If it's an overcast day, get out over those big grass mats and cover a lot of it. Anywhere a bass is going to be. A big shallow flat on an overcast day, or early in the morning or late in the evening, those bigger flats, throwing a bait like this that can cover, you know, a 4-foot deep section, just fan casting it maybe, you know, 9, 10, 11, 12, and just fan cast it around you just like a clock. That bait right there can put a lot of fish in the boat in a big hurry. I like to parallel riprap walls, that's those rocky walls. I like to parallel tules, bringing it right down there. These are areas that bluegills frequent. Oftentimes you don't see them out in the middle of the deep water suspended in the water column. You see them right along the side of those tules, right along the side of boat docks, right along the side of riprap. Timber laydowns, I love to cast this up next to big log laydowns and keep it right in nice and tight. Two exposed treble hooks, you don't want to impact the log like you would with a crankbait. This bait has drawing power. This is where you're going to do that speed up reel, and you're going to pause, or you're going to bring it up to the top, you're going to touch it, let it hit the top just like it's eating a bait fish, and you're going to let it dive back down. and retreat and repeat and repeat. And when you see a piece of lay down structure or cover like a big tree laying down, make multiple casts. A lot of the time the fish could have been 10 feet on this side of the tree. You casted it over here, you brought it over, the fish seen it, he didn't have enough effort or time to go and execute on that bait. You make that cast again, a lot of the time you fired them up and you can get them on that second, third, even fourth and fifth cast at times, especially in the fall. Now a side tip for the 7 and the 4 inch right here. This bait falls roughly, I would say, 10 to 12 inches per second. And the benefit of that is you can count it down. Let's say you've seen fish on your graph at a hump 15 feet deep. You didn't have a crankbait that goes 15 feet or you've seen like a tree on there too and you're like, well, maybe there's bluegills suspended in that tree. You can cast this out and you can count it down to start your retrieve down deeper. Let it fall, rip it, let it fall, rip it. Looks like a wounded bluegill coming through there and they will execute on that thing. Another little side tip along with counting it down, if you're fishing spotted bass and smallmouth, I prefer to run both treble hooks. When I'm fishing largemouth, a lot of the time I'll take that back hook off and that makes this rate of fall on this about 8 inches per second. Now that's not hardly a noticeable difference, but when you're slow rolling it, the slower you go without more hooks and terminal tackle on the back, you're gonna have more of a natural kick out of a jointed swim bait like that. So when you're fishing those largies, I like to take it off the back, but spotted bass and smallmouth, love to swat at it, so I'll leave both sets of trebles on at that point. And that's it for Biwaa 7, guys. It not only comes in 4 inches, they have much larger ones. In fact, last year, in 1 month, I had 25 bass over 6 pounds on the biggest one they make. It's a big old mean sucker, and I was burning that through the lake that I live on and absolutely crushing them. I personally give you all the testimonial to this bait right here. I've absolutely crushed them on this. Even this little guy, I've got some really good fish on. If you like this video and the others, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel here at Lucky Tackle Box. We absolutely appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you next time.
And let it just fall naturally down like wounded bait fish. Or it can be used like a soft jerk bait. You cast that bait out and you really twitch it on slack line and you can get that erratic motion, which is great in eliciting reaction strikes.